Hey, welcome back. I'm Nurioki, and here's another one of my videos. Cheap, amateurish, good times, but I'm getting there. So I am painting a Emerald Lifeswarm with some really crazy colors. I start off with Liquitex Cadmium Yellow Light Hue, and I'm going from a really steep angle from behind here, just layering in slow, thin it out 50-50 with some airbrush thinner, flow improver from Army Painter, and I just keep layering it on and layering it on and until I get a nice intense yellow. Now it won't stay yellow, but bear with me here as we add some new ideas and keep layering in. Decided to give the entire video rather than cutting it into pieces, just to share my process. I get a lot of questions about how exactly I do stuff, and a big part of what I want to do is to only have an airbrush in this case for the majority of the work. The nice thing about doing it in these layers and moving quick with a thin, distant brush is that it dries pretty quickly in between, and eventually you can get to the colors you want. But the idea here is that the yellow color comes from one direction, and then I fill it in near the source to make it nice and bright. Now we're doing something even more weird, adding in a magenta ink. In particular, this is quinacridone magenta. I had to take my time there so I pronounce it correctly. Mixed in again with the same airbrush thinner as before, about 50-50, and now I come from the opposite direction, layering in the fronts of all of these flying giant dragonflies. I try not to hit the yellow, because if anyone knows, this magenta and the yellow together would make an orange color, and that's not the color I'm going for in this case. So I try once or twice on the bottom, I might hit it, but on top I think I'm fairly successful. And I keep layering it up until I get a nice intensity at the front and a dusting across some of the tops of a number of the insects. Another couple layers here. Again, it dries really quickly when you have it thinned properly and at a decent distance. I'm spraying at about 15 psi, I believe. Alright, now here's the fun stuff. Switching to Turquoise Deep. Again, mixed in with thinner, and I just go to town. And this is where the fun comes in, because as you layer these colors in and mix them with each other, you start to get some really cool effects. The magenta will blend with the turquoise to create a deep purple color. And the yellows will combine to make a nice bright green. I carry on doing this on the top and the bottom until I get a nice intensity that I wanted. Now the issue here is that without overspraying, there were some deeper recessed areas that didn't quite get the color I wanted. And I thought, okay, next, rather than screwing it up, I'm not going to overspray. I went in later with some Ethermatic Blue contrast paint. And I just keep working these colors in, overlapping them here and there, just creating a nice gradient of strange colors. And get into the nooks and crannies and layer it in nice and thin. Again, layer after layer dries in between with some nice coloration. In some cases, I probably push this a little too far, I probably could have stopped here, but I kept on going. Kind of a shame, really, but I think it all works out in the end. I think in general I'm pretty happy with where things are at this point. I may have add a little bit more. But the fun comes in with this next scene of adding in some fluorescent green. And this fluorescent green is for that real heavy glow effect near the base. I start layering over the yellow, covering the skull while I'm at it, and just really trying to brighten up that source. I imagine this magic just springing up out of the ground, really glowing. I also go ahead and add in some fluorescent yellow, chartreuse technically, and I mix it right into the green. I don't clean out the brush in between here at this step. Just start really bringing that brightness back. And I start again from the same angle as I use the yellow, begin to hit upwards at the backs of the wings. At this point, I think I was pouring some of the mixture out and making it closer to pure yellow with just a little bit of green in it. And again, I keep mixing it, layering it, mixing it, layering it. And if you work quick and in short, thin bursts, it dries pretty fast. And because I can't be satisfied with an unbalanced amount of brightness, I decide to swing around to the other end and this time really crank it up with Vallejo's Magenta Fluorescent, made for airbrush. And again, I thin it a little bit, 50-50, and just really go to town, bringing in this color and adding some depth and intensity and bringing back those edges that may have gotten a little bit muted from the mixture of the turquoise ink. Now the key on all of these is that everything is translucent. None of these paints are opaque, and it allows the layering to really do its magic and have some fun. And as you can see, aside from cleaning the brush in between, this whole process only took 10 minutes of actual painting once I had the original all set up white and ready to go. From here I'll go to my desk and again, as I mentioned, touch it up and try to pull in some definition with some ethermatic blue from Citadel. It helps to pull all of those angles in, make the wings stand out here and there, and blend some of the colors. and then I'll do the base. And honestly, doing the base is probably going to take 2 or 3 times as long as it did to actually do the main color. You can see with my finger there, I'm shielding some of the green so that that magenta doesn't get onto the green. Nice little added trick. There you have it, the block colors on my Psychedelic Emerald Lifeswarm. This has been Norioki's Gray Bunny Miniatures. Thanks for watching.